Morning, thank you. I'll just take you through very quickly what SP Energy Networks is doing as a business to facilitate and be part of the low carbon transition. Before we move on, we have to give you some background into what we do. SP Energy Networks, part of the Iberdrola group based in Spain, formerly Scottish Power in the UK, and we own and operate the transmission system in southern Scotland as well as the distribution system, and we also have a distribution system in Merseyside in North Wales. We have 3.2 million connected customers, and we represent about 30p per day on your energy bill, about 18% to keep the lights on and facilitate connections. We are the only network operator to operate in all the three local government regions of Wales, Scotland and England. And over the next 8 years, we will invest something like £7.5 billion on the network assets. And that's for a number of reasons: resilience, replacement of ageing assets, but also to facilitate that low carbon transition. So the current challenge, well, it's quite simple. We keep the lights on 24/7. We have 2,500 employees who are out and about keeping the lights on and maintaining the system. We've got ageing assets. We're going through a period of change, but we also went through a significant change in the last 40 years. So the last 40 to 50 years, we've seen significant upgrades of our networks, but that's coming to an end now. So we're going through a period of change. We're seeing the effects of climate change every year with the extreme weather events, so we're trying to manage that as well. And we've had 4 or 5 exceptional weather events in the last few years, and when you have 4 or 5, they're not very necessarily exceptional. They become the norm, but these are the things that we're trying to facilitate on a daily basis. We obviously have a key role to play in the increase of renewable generation that's come forward. We've seen a significant impact and the aspiration for a low carbon transition. Community-owned energy is very significant in what we do. What we have done in the past few years is start to innovate in terms of how we do things, how we operate our network, and how we actually receive people trying to connect to our network. So we're trying to do a variety of things to make it easier to facilitate, the access to the network. We've seen economic, we're a key part of the social makeup and the networks that we serve and the areas that we serve. And there's a lot more, fuel poverty, economic growth. Quite significant. We've had, Glasgow's, Liverpool. These are key areas that have seen regional growth, and we've had to be part of that. Commonwealth Games, for example, we invested millions in Glasgow during the Commonwealth Games to facilitate, the aspirations of the local authority there. Competition. We've seen significant parties coming into our world. We are a traditionally monopoly player, but we're open now to more competition, which is good, keeps us on our toes, but it's ensuring that competition is right for everybody. And at the end of the day, networks, it's about ensuring that you've got a reliable, secure network out there. So we need to work within that parity. And political uncertainty, I think, if we're looking at a low carbon transition, the generation in particular, they've seen a significant change in tariff degradation over the last few years. And when you think that we've got committed plans years ahead for reinforcing the network, when generators start to fall away, we've got to revise our plans in terms of network reinforcement and how we invest in the network going forward. And all of that has got to be done, in a sustainable business, accessibility of those who use and operate our network. We've got to be transparent, balance the risks for our shareholders and for the companies and the communities that we serve. So how have we done? Well, we've seen an unprecedented rise in the level of renewable generation seeking to connect. And unfortunately, and when I say unfortunately, if we'd seen a similar trend in demand, growth in demand, then actually, we talk about the transfer of transport and heat to electricity, electric vehicles. Unfortunately, that's not kept pace with the way generations came forward, and we find ourselves where we've had to connect a significant resource in terms of generation, but the demand isn't necessarily in the areas where you would want it. So that leads to large network reinforcement. I've just been told to go off there, I think. No. So that's a significant reinforcement in terms of planning and understanding it. So when you come to the cities, big pockets of demand, obviously, but the generation's usually sitting out in the rural communities where the demand is less so. So that's a significant challenge, not just in getting the infrastructure there, but how you control and operate those sites. So how have we done to date? Well, actually, we've not done too badly to date. Up until recently, we had connected around about a third of the UK's renewable energy resource to our networks, but we only represent about 14% of the demand. So we've done a significant amount of work. Low-hanging fruit, shall we say, has probably been taken now, but it's getting a lot harder. And I stand here in front of you. My role within the business is to look at new innovative ways of doing things. And I've been taking forward a project accelerating renewable connections, which is based in Dunbar in the Borders region. And what we face is an unprecedented level of generation seeking to connect. And we want to get it on a pace that matches our aspirations as a society for low carbon transition. But unfortunately, things take time, particularly when you talk about reinforcement. And a few years ago, there was 50 megawatts of renewable generation, and that's large players, wind players, PV, community-owned generation as well, seeking to connect in the Dunbar area. And the offer that they were originally given was £20 million worth of reinforcement, and it'll be 2021 before you can connect. Now, we understand that that's not a very good signal for investors. It's not a good signal for the communities, because communities, unfortunately, just can't deal with that sort of pushback from an infrastructure provider. So what we did was, how do we actually look at this differently? How do we actually connect customers differently? And what we've been able to do in the last few years is actively manage those customers. And by doing that and making real-time available capacity, i.e. every 600 milliseconds, we're sending a signal to generators to say what capacity they can release. We're now in the process of building out that 50 megawatts, and that will connect in 2017. Some of it will connect towards the end of this year. And the cost actually came down to around about £800,000. But it's not just innovation in terms of innovating technology, and you mentioned it at the start, talking about, the engineering bit. That's dare I say it, if there's engineers, I'm not an engineer, so I can say this. That's the easy part. The hard part is actually making the commercial mechanisms work, getting your comms in place, and actually making sure that the financiers understand a new commercial arrangement whereby it's not a case of fitting out a generator and he'll free access to the network. It's about making that generator work in an environment where his output will be matched with his local demand. And that's a very significant and different commercial proposition for us all. Us as a networks business, because I do speak to engineers on occasion, and there is quite a, how do we actually operate this? Because actually, I came this morning, most of us is probably our lives run by our mobile phone. 21st century technology telling me this morning I was late. But actually, to operate this network that we rely on and we just know it's there, it's very binary. So we need to actually change how we do things. And that's a big challenge for us as a business, to digitalise it's easy for me to say, the way we do things. So there's a number of challenges that we face as a business. And it was very easy in the past. Big power station, goes on to transmission network, tap it down to distribution, and then we send it to the customers. That is a world that has moved on. But we talk about the future. The future's now. It's the current network is simply here. It's the energy cloud, if you like. And we now have a more active network. Flows of energy are going both ways. Traditionally, we looked at our network saying, how do we get power from the coal station to the customer? But actually, now the customer is feeding onto our network. And actually, visibility of that is very hard. We don't know what the true demand is in our network now, because it's been masked by the significant amount of generation at a small level and at a distributed level. And actually, when we see the closure of large thermal power plants, as we have done and we will do, the reliance on that local generation will become, is becoming more important. And that is not only a challenge, but for you in the audience, that's an opportunity as well, because actually to match your local demand, your demand of your premises, your demand of the people that you serve and the communities with generation is very important. And actually, from a planning point of view, you need to think about how you actually match your local supply. And it's not just about, we have it's just about the aesthetics. It's actually, how do we actually continue to make these communities grow and prosper by the energy? Because energy is very important. I give an example in the trial area, and I probably won't mind me referring to this. Berwickshire Housing Association came to us 2 years ago wanting to put 2.2 megawatts of PV on the roofs of their properties. The initial reaction from us as a company was, no, you can't do that because of voltage rise and issues it could affect. But we worked with the association. We didn't actually allow them to put them on the properties they wanted. There was a variety of reasons for that. But we have been able to facilitate those 749 PV arrays. And not only does that allow that association to realise a revenue, which they'll invest in new homes and improving the infrastructure they have, they estimate that the savings of the tenants in those homes will be in the order of £1.9 million over the lifetime of those sites. That's just something that we need to do as a business and as a society. And we, as SP Energy Networks, are very committed to ensuring that we play our role in the communities that we serve. However, it's not enough just to say that, we'll connect stuff and we'll let it happen. We, as a business, recognise that the world is changing. I've already made reference to the fact that, the local distribution network will be where the action is. That's where it's going to be. We're seeing a penetration of renewable generation. We've seen that significant growth. Electrification of heat and transport will come. But we want to make sure that that there is prosperity around the communities that we serve. And as a networks operator, we are ultimately an arms and legs organisation, connect people, and we make sure we keep the lights on. But we want to be more than that. We want to be moving power about, not just from the physical constraint, but we want to be moving power about based on the economic value of that. And that's why we are very committed to moving our business from a distribution network operator to what we call the distribution system operator. And it's actually pushing back on National Grid a bit in a way, because National Grid is a system operator for the national system. They can have an influence on the customers connected to my network and a distribution network. And I don't want that. I want to be able to have control and flexibility to allow those customers to come on and to actually create new revenue opportunities. I think the days of the cash cow, as it was referred to previously, of putting up a wind turbine and you look at it for the next 25 years and there's your pension sorted, that's got to move on. And actually, degradation of tariffs actually gives you an opportunity to actually say, how do we create new revenue streams for both those new people, generation sites, but also for the demand and storage providers that we hope to see coming forward over the next few years. As I say, the technology is there. It's about making it happen from a commercial point of view to make sure that we shouldn't shy away from it. We all need to make a return on our investments, and that's what makes it happen going forward. But there's ways to do it. There's ways to do it for the right social reasons and benefits as well. So to conclude, that's been very quickly through what we're trying to do and to work with everybody. And I've got a plea. If you're coming forward with a new project, whether it's a demand or generation, you need the network. Don't put me last on the stage. Make sure I'm very first in the queue, because we can make things happen. I've never actually got a generator yet where we haven't provided a solution or a demand customer. And by working with your local network operator, visibility of what's going on is great for us, but equally for you, we can come up with new, potentially, innovative ways of connecting you and realising your objectives for your projects. We're doing things now with virtual private wire, where we're aggregating up demand linked to a generator that might be, physically not connected to the local sites. These are things that we're trying to do, and we are trialling. We're doing it now. I'm doing it down in the borders, but that needs to grow. And there needs to be a holistic view of the energy system as well, because you're very important in terms of settlements and suppliers as well. So, as a business, we're very open, and we encourage people to come forward and actually talk about your new ideas, talk about what your aspirations are, and we will work with you to make it happen. So a small plea before I leave, but we are committed to playing our part. We're trying to be innovative. Long gone are the days where you turned up for work as an engineer in any of the distribution networks operators, and you were given your jacket with your patches and your elbows, and you were said, that'll do you for the next 40 years. Things are changing. It's actually becoming a very exciting industry to work in. And it's going to be more exciting as long as we're working with the communities that we're serving. And we realise the part that we play in those. Demand-side response, it's not just about managing the electricity, it's about creating opportunities, both from a social, environmental, but economic perspective as well. And as I said, work with us. We're not the big bad DNOs, we're actually very open for you coming forward and having a conversation with us. So thank you.